When you learn Korean or any other language, there are only three things that matter. And if you do all of those three things, then your progress will be insane. The first one is daily execution. The second one, in-between steps. And the third one, habit stacking. And now I'm gonna explain you everything of them in detail. Number one, daily execution. So I made a video about this, why it's so important. I call it sleep mode mastery. So when you learn a language every day, then while you sleep, your brain still continues working on the language and building those connections inside your brain. You have this neural network inside your mind. So there are neurons, and you can easily, as an example, imagine like vocabularies. When you learn a new vocabulary, you're basically inserting a new neuron inside your mind, and then overnight, this neuron is trying to make connections with other neurons, other vocabularies inside your brain. And when you don't learn on a daily habit, then you lose this kind of effect. It's kind of like an accelerating effect and the easiest one to get. So if you compare someone who learns the same amount of time on one day to someone who's distributing that same amount of time throughout a week every day, the progress of the latter one is much more because of the sleep mode effect. And this is one you have to absolutely master to learn a language daily. And the second one is in-between steps. I see it every time that students start skipping steps and then they get frustrated and then give up learning Korean. And here's how it goes. So when you start with self-study, it's the easiest one, it's our foundation. Then we want to start with 15 minutes only. And then we want to make this a part of us. So here's the point of this. It's because your brain is always shocked by something new. So if you start with something little, it's much easier to get this a part of you. So you start with 15 minutes and continue doing this every day, 15, 15, 15, 15, until it feels natural to you. So depending on your background, it can feel more harder or easier for you. So even if your goal is like, I want to start 60 minutes every day practice, you shouldn't start like this in the first time because it's your motivation, but you have this resistance, and if your mind sees the 60 minutes every day, it's easy to start saying, I don't want to do it anymore. But if you take it like 15, 15, 15, then 13, 13, 13, 13, 45, 45, 45, and then you start 60, 60, 60, it's so much more likely to make it a part of you. It's because we're slowly getting our mind used to it, to this new habit that we're forming, and therefore it will easily become a part of us. And this is kind of like we're tricking our brain to adapt to something new. And the third thing is habit stacking. And this one is powerful as too. So I created this habit pyramid. So we are forming basically 4 habits, and we're using the compound effect that I also explained in another video, that we are building on each other. The first thing is self-study. The second level is vocabulary. The third thing is with a teacher. And the fourth thing is strangers. And the reason why we're doing this is because we can always fall back to a lower level, but they are kind of like dependent on each other. So the lowest level self-study is the easiest one we can do, and therefore we form this as a habit, as a new habit, and we do this for, let's say, like 60 minutes. And what we later do, we make something called habit replacement. So we take away like some time that we have been forming this habit, like 50 minutes away, and instead of 50 minutes self-study, we do 50 minutes vocabulary. So at first you have 60 minutes, for example, self-study, and then you have 45 minutes self-study and 50 minutes vocabulary. So what we're doing is we're replacing a habit that's already existing, because replacing habits is so much more easier than forming a new habit. But for forming a new habit, we want to do the easiest thing, and this is self-study. So on the first thing, we start to do the self-study, and then let's say after 1 week is the absolute bare minimum. Then we start adding vocabulary as a habit, and this is the second level. So you can always fall back, and for vocabulary, it's absolutely crucial that you learn it every day. And therefore, we want to get first into the habit of learning a language every day. And then on the third level, we want to add a teacher, which is the first step into starting to speak, into getting confident. And then after that, we start speaking to strangers. And speaking to strangers, to natives in the foreign language is the absolutely hardest thing. And this is why we make it on top of that. And if you go through this process step by step, then you can easily do this. You can still speak to strangers. But yeah, if you try to do this from day one, it will be really hard and super likely to fail. So these are the only 3 things that matter when learning a language like Korean. And if you do all those 3 things, it will absolutely be magic for you. The progress will be insane. This is the absolutely most important thing you have to do. And I really wish you the best for your study and for your progress. And I'll see you on the next video.